Call to order the regular meeting of the Dickinson City Commission. Let the record show that all commissioners are present. First item up is the order of business. Mr. Dossinger, are there any changes to the order of business?
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the Commission. There is a change to the order of business. Item C, reports, will be moved to item D. Item C will then become an update regarding the search process for the city administrator position, which will be handled by President Decker.
So it'll be a selection committee recommendation for item C. Any questions on the amended order of business? Not, I'd look for a motion.
I'd move to
approve.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Bear,
Second?
second by Commissioner Sobeluk. Any discussion? All in favor of the order of business as amended, state aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion carries. Next item up is the consent agenda. Are there any items on the consent agenda that the commissioners wish to discuss? No discussion or questions on the consent agenda. I'd look for a motion.
Move to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Oderman,
Second.
second by Commissioner Frederick. Any further discussion on the consent agenda? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Oderman,
Aye.
Mr. Frederick,
Aye.
Mrs. Sobeluk,
Aye.
Dr. Bear.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. Our first item up in administration this evening is our monthly financial report, and this will be handled by City Accountant Maury. Welcome.
Thank you, President Decker and Commissioners. This financial report and revenue update will be as of June 30th, so halfway through the year. So this first slide you can see here is our net working cash, only about a 1% change from the prior month. Still right around that $70 million mark in our net working cash. So no major changes there. Total unassigned cash, $9 million. We're expecting to be closer to $8 million to end the year. So right on track with where we need to be in our treasurer's report. As far as our investments, no changes from the prior meeting. We're still exactly, or I should say roughly $36 million in our investments. Reminder to the public, we make our pension contributions at the beginning of the year. So you'll see some slight changes throughout the year, but for the most part, the major changes will happen at the beginning of each year. And then moving on to our revenue update. So the slide shows a blue line for 2020, a red line for 21, and then a dark red line for 2022. In June, you can see that dark red line increased pretty significantly compared to the prior years. In June of 22 compared to June of 21, we're actually up $229,000 in our 1% sales tax. So that's about a 64% increase right there. And then first 6 months total, we're $380,000 higher in our first 6 months of our 1% sales tax compared to the first 6 months of 2021. So about a 14% increase there. The half percent sales tax, as a reminder to the public, we show this slide just to show our sales tax is collected in two separate funds. This slide will be exactly half of the previous slide. And then moving on to our hospitality tax. So again, the dark red line being 2022, you can see we're pretty significantly higher in our hospitality tax as well. $41,000 higher in June of 22 compared to June of 21. So about a 78% increase in our hospitality tax. First 6 months total, we're up $62,000 compared to the first 6 months of 21. So that's about a 16% increase there. And then in our occupancy tax, a little bit higher there as well. So we're about $9,000 higher in our occupancy tax in June of 22 compared to 21. That's about a 75% increase. And then the first 6 months in our occupancy tax in 22, we're about $28,000 higher compared to the first 6 months of 21. That's about a 33% increase. And then the final state treasurer collection we have on here is our oil impact revenue. June of 22 was $249,000 higher compared to June of 21, about a 23% increase in our oil impact. And then the first 6 months of 22, we are 1.9 million higher compared to the first 6 months of 21. So about a 32% increase over the first 6 months. So, and then this following slide is our budget breakdown from your packet as well. So the chart on the left is our general fund revenue. The blue side of the circle chart on the left is our general fund revenue collected. At this point, halfway through the year, we expect to be 50%. We've collected 57% so far through 6 months, which means we have 43% remaining. And then in our general fund expenses, we so far have expended 45% of our total general fund budget. So we are ahead of where we need to be through 6 months. And then the same goes for our utility. So again, the blue slide, or the blue circle chart on the left, the blue side is 59% of our utility revenue collected, 41% remaining. And then enterprise fund, 37% expended. And I know we talked about that last meeting as well. We'll see that increase significantly through the summer. But at this point, through 6 months, we're at 37% expended. So with that, I will do my best to answer any questions, and city staff recommends approval.
Thank you, Mr. Maury. Any questions for Mr. Maury on the monthly financial report? There are no questions. I'd look for a motion.
I move to approve.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Bear,
Second.
second by Commissioner Frederick. Any further discussion on the monthly financial report? Hearing none, we'll vote. Dr. Bear,
Aye.
Mr. Frederick,
Aye.
Mrs. Sobeluk,
Aye.
Mr. Oderman.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next item up is we have a marketing director position, and this will be handled by our HR coordinator, Nominic.
Thank you, President Decker and Commissioners. Before you is the Marketing and Events Director job description that will oversee the future town square. This position will be under the general direction of the city administrator, responsible for planning, coordinating, implementing, and promoting city and community events. This position is going to be a tough one because it must maintain a lot of flexibility, have a strong work ethic, limited supervision, and the use of independent judgment. This position, you know, as we've talked before, will be organizing all the special events, including the logistical setup, the volunteer coordination, if that's what we choose to have, is volunteers and promotion of events, coordinating any activities of any of those employees and the volunteers at those events, development of the event's annual budget, forecasting additional funds needed for staffing, training, equipment, supplies, monitoring expenditures, and implements adjustments as needed. So those are just some of the main duties for this position. We talked a little bit in some of our meetings about where we might place this position based on the needs and the ability to hire. We did look at a grade 18. This would be a salary exempt position in a grade 18. The minimum step for this position is 34-35, which comes out to about little less than 72,000. Max would be 100,000. And of course, it would be a fully benefited full-time position. And city staff is looking for recommending approval of this position.
Thank you, Mrs. Nominic. Any questions on the marketing director position? Mrs. Nominic, are we looking to advertise this immediately, or are we waiting for the 2023 budget?
We were hoping to get this going right away. I think that it's going to take some time to get this position hired and get things going so that once we do have the town square done and ready, we at least have someone working on things.
Okay. We have we have some I mean, we have funding because we have some positions that haven't been filled this year that were funded.
Mr. President, Commission, that is correct. We also still have some funds that was going to be provided to the DDA that's going to be provided back to us to help fund this position for
Okay.
the remainder of this year.
Okay.
Mr. President, I'd
Mr.
move
Oderman.
to approve.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Oderman,
Second?
second by Commissioner Sobeluk. Any further discussion, questions?
Just one more quick, have we started working on a budget for this position for next year?
Commissioner Frederick, yes, we have been working on a budget. We put it so that they would have a line of their own for funding. We looked at 25,000, there's 50,000 in the interest fund that is for urban and downtown. And we were looking at 25,000 for that, and then another 25,000 that was coming out of general fund. So we were looking at 50,000. I know it's not a lot, but that's what we're looking at.
In that, the special event money that we give, like now for First on First,
Right.
that would be separate?
That's 25,000 there, and so that could be, if that's what the position's gonna be looking for, that's all those things that we would be bringing forward as far as, subsidies.
Okay, so, but that's a separate grant unto itself,
Yeah.
okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and vote. Mr. Oderman,
Aye.
Mrs. Sobeluk,
Aye.
Mr. Frederick,
Aye.
Dr. Bear,
Aye.
chair votes aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Moving to item C, the selection committee met last week, and for the city administrator's position, we interviewed multiple candidates, and at the end of our interview process, we had a lot of good candidates, but the committee felt that one individual stood out above the rest, and our recommendation would be that we don't need to have further interviews, and I guess our recommendation would be to offer the position to Mr. Dossinger. If the commissioners feel that they would like to have further interviews, or are not satisfied with our recommendation, I guess we would have to fly the position again, so.
I would just add that when the committee met after we were done with the interviews that we conducted, and we scored everybody out. I mean, it was a significant difference in scoring, and Mr. Dossinger was head and shoulders above the other candidates from a scoring standpoint, and I think that's why we lean towards the recommendation that we decided upon here.
How many did we end up interviewing? I know there was, 10 that we had
Well,
taken to the fund. First
Can we,
group, or-
can we share that? Three, it was three, okay, so we can share that, okay.
we had
The number
one-
we can share. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had one candidate withdraw for COVID reasons the day of, and the day prior, another candidate
Yeah.
pulled their names.
So of the 8 that we were initially planning, 5 of those 8 withdrew before the interview day.
I feel like Mr. Dossinger has been doing such a great job, and I would be very comfortable with offering him the position.
I would agree with that.
I would agree as well.
So then I guess I would just ask for the commission's permission to go forward and begin negotiations with Mr. Dossinger. And
Do we need to make a motion or just,
I think we should have a motion.
Okay.
So,
I would move for us to make start negotiations with Mr. Dossinger.
okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Sobeluk, second by Commissioner Bear. Any further discussion? All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
I will begin our negotiations with Mr. Dossinger, and I hope he's still interested. It's a tough, I'll tell the commission and the people watching, it is a tough market out there right now, and, but Mr. Dossinger, he, like Commissioner Oderman said, it was, when we were done, it was really an easy decision.
Yeah.
So.
How
And
how
I-
lucky we are to have grown somebody right here.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, so I will begin that, so. All right, well then, after that, we'll head into reports, and that'll be handled, first item up will be our HR monthly report, and that'll be handled by HR Coordinator Nomnick.
Thank you again, President Decker, Commissioners. So I did have the column added of days of the position being open per your request, Commissioner Oderman.
Thank you.
So the advanced computer technician is the first one up. It's been sort of a difficult one for us to fill. We did make an offer to one of the candidates. We interviewed 3 and that was declined. So we're gonna work on opening that back up and keep looking for that right candidate. City administrator, we just got done talking about that. So that takes us to engineer. We have the engineer community development director. Had a good number of candidates. So the interviews are being scheduled for next Monday. So we're looking forward to that. GIS technician, again, another one of those difficult ones. We've had in the past a good number of people from out of state applying with some good qualifications, but nobody really willing to move here. They all declined our offers. So we're gonna attempt to advertise that a little bit differently and maybe look for someone that we can train, someone local that we can work with a little bit more on that. Part-time firefighters, we are in the interview phase. We've hired several, 4 of them. One of them that came back that used to work for us in the past has come back. And so we'll keep working on those. We recently had our animal control supervisor retire, and so we opened that internally. Amanda Paulson has been with us for some time, and she did take that supervisor position. So we're looking forward to having her in that role. 4 openings right now. We're in the background phase on 3 of the applicants that we've made conditional offers to. And then we open the position back up to keep that flowing and keep those interviews, applicants coming. Building inspector 2, nothing new to report since the last time I had reported on that. The facility operator, we have 1 position open. We're in the interview stage. It's been, kind of slow filling that position. Usually we don't have a lot of trouble filling that, or we don't actually lose a lot of people in that position, but we'll see how that interview goes. Scale service representative, we have 2 people in that role. One of them was just hired, and then the other one left us, unfortunately. So we're back to looking for a scale service representative, and that has proven to not be a very easy position to fill as well. And then that brings us to the solid waste disposal operator and the solid waste recycling operators. And we have those opened, all of those solid waste positions open until filled, and we'll keep working on trying to get those filled. Fleet mechanic supervisor, we opened that up internally. Adrian Krebs, who's been with us for quite a while, has taken that position, which then opened up the street mechanic, or the mechanic position. We haven't quite gotten that finished opening yet, but that will be open soon. The seasonal street laborers, we had 4 openings there. I think at this point we're no longer going to be searching anymore for those seasonal positions in street. We do have some street maintenance full-time positions, 3 positions open, and unfortunately just got another resignation yesterday, so we'll have 4 positions open in street, and not a lot of luck getting applicants for that as well, so we'll keep at it and do our best to get those filled. Any questions?
Mrs. Nomina, is it possible that maybe like on those seasonal positions that we're opening them too late?
You know, the other positions, we were able to fill them by the
Okay.
time we started. I think a lot of them are, you know, they're college students, and from what we found, you know, they just weren't answering our messages, they weren't answering our text messages. They just want to get through school, they want to finish their tests, and then they start thinking, oh, I need a job, I guess I'll call back.
Okay.
You know, so we did fill them all. Street was probably the only one that we had any problem filling.
Okay, thank you.
Is it time to rethink some of these positions we can't hire?
Rethink as far as,
Job descriptions or requirements or pay?
you know, we don't have a lot of requirements. We're teaching them, training them to get their CDL. Gary will argue all day that pay is an issue. You know, these are the same people that the oil field companies are trying to recruit. You know, so would pay help? I don't know. I don't think it could hurt.
I do think that that's something that we possibly need to consider. I mean, we went through the same type of wrestling match with wages at the hospital in terms of like frontline staff and those entry level positions. And when we made a change, we had gone 4 months with no applicants, and then we made a change in the first day that we reposted the position with higher wage. We got like 10, 15 applicants, so.
Well, I've argued for a while now that for some of these positions, we have to look at, and it's a hard pill to swallow for commissioners and some staff, but there are just some positions that are consistently on this report, not filled, and we have to do basically spot job adjustment to those wages. And it's the solid waste operators, it's the call center, it's the ones that are just repeatedly streets. They're repeated. We just have to look at those positions, and those are maybe just jobs that we're going to have to make an adjustment to.
Yeah, to the grade or to the whatever.
Right,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
once pay's addressed, then if they don't fill, then we'll have to see.
Reevaluate.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough. I mean, the call center's tough. It takes a unique individual, as does solid waste operator. I mean, it takes somebody that's willing to get up every morning very early and go to work, and it's a demanding job. So, I think we'll just have to, when it comes to personnel time in the budget this year, we're just gonna have to address that.
And I think Gary's proposal for, you know, the changes he wants to make to next year's budget, I think is very much needed for retention and for recruiting, and I think it'll be helpful.
Yeah, he did some good work there.
Okay. Any other comments or questions for Mrs. Nominick? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Our last item in reports, we have tobacco violations. This will be handled by Interim City Administrator Dossinger.
Thank you, Mr. President. On Tuesday, July 5th, tobacco compliance checks were conducted in our community. There were a total of 25 checks completed with 1 failure. The failure was the vape shop located at 927 West Villard Street. This was the vape shop's second failure in the last 24 months. March 2nd was their last failure. The Dickinson Municipal Code provides that in the event of a second violation within a 24-month period by the licensee, its agent, or employee, the city shall assess against the licensee an administrative fine in the amount of $750. The city shall further suspend the licensee's license and authority to sell tobacco products for no less than 1 day. The city has notified them that they are going to be assessed a $750 fine and that their license will be suspended for 1 day on July 30th. If you have any questions, I'd be free to answer them.
Thank you, Mr. Dossinger. Any questions on the tobacco violation?
What's the third step on this? I forget off the top of my head.
Commissioner Alderman, the third step would be a fine of $1,500 and no less than a 3-day suspension or revocation of their license.
Okay. Have we had conversations with them about, hey, this is strike 2, revocation is on the table next time if it happens again?
We certainly can have those conversations.
Yeah, if we could, that'd be great.
And like you said, the last one was March, right? So this is like,
It's not like it was last year.
Yeah, March 2nd was their last one.
right, so this is pretty close to each other.
So other than the letter, has anybody from staff reached out to the owner?
As far as law enforcement staff or Southwest
Any
District
staff,
Health?
or any staff?
No staff has made, that I'm aware of, has made direct contact. Southwest District Health has notified them via letter as well as for some steps that they can take to reduce those violations occurring.
I think they probably need to be aware of what a third violation brings, and also I think fourth is, if there's a fourth within 24 months, I think that's total suspension, if I'm
Or
correct.
revocation? It's
Yeah,
on the
revocation.
table.
It's on the table at 3.
Yeah, well, after 3, yes, so.
Correct.
Correct.
So hopefully they will change their practices after the second violation. So thank you, Mr. Dossinger. Moving into our public hearing and public comments. Our first item up this evening, we have a presentation, and I think Mr. Bursu,
Yes, can you hear me okay?
we can.
Okay, I'm sorry I missed you 4th of July weekend. I'm currently in Atlanta where I lived, and American Airlines canceled my flight to North Dakota. So unfortunately, I didn't get to meet you in person, but it's a pleasure meeting everyone over the computer.
Well, welcome to the Dickinson City Commission, and you have a development presentation for the commissioners and the public?
Yes, I do. I also have April Ide on the call as well. She is originally from Dickinson, and she lives in Bismarck and is the broker for Doomlands Realty on the 446 18th Street West, the old grocery store building that's been sitting empty for a few years. April, are you there?
I am. Good evening, everyone.
Well, we wanted to thank you. A little bit of background about myself, and April can talk a little bit about herself. I've been in the shopping center business for 38 years. We've developed over 41 retail properties in 16 different states, and including a shopping center in Minot and a shopping center in Jamestown, North Dakota. April brought this property to my attention a while ago, and unfortunately, the cost to purchase the building and the cost to renovate the building versus the income that it would produce would lose about $2 million without a partnership between myself and the city of Dickinson. I've been talking to Walter probably the past 6 or 7 months, and unfortunately, I believe he's no longer working there, and I've been in contact with Mr. Dossinger. So I don't know if you've had a chance. I FedExed Mr. Dossinger a booklet regarding what we are seeking. I just wanted to verify that everyone has seen that.
We have.
We have.
We have.
Okay, so what we're proposing to do is to redevelop the vacant Spartan Food grocery store. I believe, was it a family fair, April?
That's correct, yes.
That's been vacant for about 4 years. And I sent all these emails to Mr. Hadley showing sincere interest in all these tenants. I've got TJ Maxx that wants 20,000 square feet. I've got a shoe department shoe store out of North Carolina that wants 10,000 feet. I've got letters from Maurice's for a relocation, Dollar Tree store, Petco has contacted me, Ulta Cosmetics, Five Below. Unfortunately, I don't have room for all these tenants, but I believe we could bring a really nice development to the city of Dickinson. Currently, the only income that the city is getting off that property is $30,000 a year in property tax. You're not receiving any sales revenues on sales tax at all, and you're not really getting an increase in property tax. With a partnership between my company and the city, what I've proposed, I want to make 100% clear up front, I'm not seeking any upfront money from the city, zero. All the risk, all the equity, the loan, everything that I'm seeking, I will personally fund. I know Walter had mentioned there was a $50,000 facade allowance, I believe. But I'm not coming to you asking you for upfront TIF money. What I'm asking is, in order to make this happen, where I can make a mortgage payment and make a little bit of profit and help you guys increase the property taxes and make profit on sales taxes as well, is a shared revenue on sales tax and property tax. And again, I'm not looking for any upfront cost. The project's going to cost about $6.3 million. I will put over $2 million in equity. I'll get a loan and I will handle the redevelopment of the building. And like I said, if I can't get help from the city, this project will never happen, because like I said before, I'll lose a few $1 million trying to do it without a partnership. I don't know if you saw the numbers that I sent to you based on sales revenues from these tenants. But TJ Maxx sales are projected to range between $4 to $8 million per year at a 6.5% tax rate. That's $260,000 per year in sales tax revenue. If we were to put Petco in there, they do about $1.3 million per year. That's about $84,000 in sales tax revenue. If I were to do Dollar Tree or Five Below with TJ Maxx, they're estimated to do $1.2 million at 6.5%. That's $78,000 per year in sales tax revenue. Maurice's or shoe department, that's about $62,000 a year in sales tax revenue. In addition, I'll be taking your property taxes from $30,000 a year over a 15-year total. I'll increase that to about $1.2 million compared to what you're getting now. Over a 15-year period, if the building stays that way, you're looking at about $350,000 total. So all I'm really looking to do is partner up with the city on some sharing of the revenues that I've created through the development. April, do you have anything to say on your end? Because I know you've been working that property hard, and I know you're a local resident is growing up there.
Sure, sure. Well, first, I just wanted to thank you, Doug, for all your time that you've put into this project. I know you've been working diligently, and these are not easy projects to do. You know, I know that at one point in time, there was a development that was trying to get off the ground on the western side of Dickinson, and that did not happen. But those retailers still remain interested in entering the market. The feedback we get is Dickinson is a very nice community. It's very clean, well-kept, safe. And the other feedback that we hear is there's limited shopping options. Most recently, JCPenney and Herberger's were two big, large department stores that, you know, are closed, which kind of just leaves the Walmart as the primary source for shopping. For the residents that live there today in the community, but then also for job seekers that are looking to come into the market. I was listening to your challenges that you were talking about, commissioners, on, you know, recruiting staff. And, you know, I think that's a constant theme across the Dakotas and nationally, that you're not alone in that battle, put it that way. But I do think when you can have some of these amenities, whether it's on the shopping side or parents having the ability to buy snow pants at a local department store versus ordering, you know, from Amazon online, and, you know, your kid doesn't have them because the package doesn't arrive before the snow falls. So those are all kind of like the local stories that we're hearing. When it comes to the sales tax revenue, I think the community is definitely probably seeing some leakage to whether it be South Dakota, Spearfish, Rapid City area where, you know, local people are shopping, or to the west in the Montana or east to Bismarck. So I think that could be a huge plus for the community, and also create some job creation for the locals, some good part-time job, whether it be for students, college students, part-time housewives, or whomever's looking for part-time work. And then I would just note that I think what Doug and his team have reviewed and evaluated as far as the challenges, you know, those are real challenges, and we see them in our market. We work the entire state, Minot, Grand Forks, Fargo, and we see that across the board. There's just true material and labor cost pressures. And, you know, tenants have thresholds too, where they have lease rates and occupancy costs that they need to meet in order to be successful and continue to operate businesses. You know, we'd like to be able to see this property, you know, be redeveloped. You know, there's a couple of other vacant buildings in the community, and, you know, that doesn't show well, whether it's locally and from other groups that are coming through. So I think if there's a balance where we could come up with a creative solution to make this work for both sides, I think it's definitely worth exploring. And I'm happy to answer any, you know, specific questions that you folks have in terms of Doug's proposal, how it relates, or any other just ancillary questions. I'm happy to help.
Well, thank you, Doug and April, for the presentation. And thank you for the interest in the community and wanting to bring these retail opportunities to Dickinson. The challenge with the proposal is it's based upon a collection of 6.5% sales tax, which only 1.5 stays here in the city. The other 5 cents goes to the state. So those numbers really don't work for us. We've tried to include, well, we have included, this building now is in the Renaissance Zone. So that's another opportunity for relief. We also have Stark Development that, besides its facade program, also has some different opportunities, especially in flex pace, loan buy downs. And we are shortly going to enact a TIF policy that we be happy to work with you using our new TIF policy, but the sales tax share, at least in my mind, is something I don't think we can pull off as a city. Commissioners, if you have any other comments for Doug or April. So.
I would agree, Mr. President, that I think I want to start by just saying thank you for the interest in developing Dickinson and moving our community forward from an economic standpoint. But I just the share of the sales tax, especially with the proposal the way it's currently worded, I just don't think that that's something that even if it was reworded and those numbers were adjusted, I don't think it's a road that we necessarily would be interested in going down in terms of the sales tax. But I agree with you, the property tax piece through TIF or through Renaissance Zone, I think that's something that we'd definitely be willing to work with this project on, and I'd be interested to hear feedback or response to that.
And I think we can also work with you on the reduction in the parking lot.
Yeah.
For the additional space. I think we passed policy a few years ago on these parking lots. There was excessive spaces, and I know the adjacent mall's taken some opportunity, and they've developed some of their parking lot. Some other outlets have also. So I think that 20% request on the parking lot is something that can go through planning and zoning, and we can look at that Board of Adjustment. So.
You mentioned that you're planning a TIF for that district. What would that entail?
Mr. This is Linda. I'm the Deputy City Administrator of Finance. And what the policy states is it's very broad, but its final approval is by the commission. But it can either look at 5 years where you pay the base, and then after the 5 years, then the taxes or the building is reassessed, and then the property tax goes forward as normal to all other entities. Or if it goes through on the broader part of it, it can go up to 15 years on that, on the TIF.
So it's a property tax freeze?
Yes, it's like a freeze,
So,
except for the base. So if the building is at what you said,
30,000.
30,000, that would stay the same, even at the 5 years. And then same with the 15, you can go commission can approve either going total freeze, or they can go a portion of the freeze, or they can say the base is still to be paid within the 15 years and then assessed after that.
because what happens on these shopping centers, I pass on what's called common area maintenance, property taxes, and insurance. So the tenants, they have the base rent, which is, let's say, $10 a square foot, and then let's say an additional $3 a square foot for the common area maintenance, which is the snow plowing, the snow removal, the insurance on the property, and the tenants actually pay the property tax bill. So a freeze doesn't really do anything. What would benefit me is not to have a freeze, but to have a property tax increase where I get the tenants to pay that, and then we reimburse ourselves to help, make the numbers work on this project.
I totally understand what you're saying. That's something, this is new to me, but I definitely would want to bring that forward to the bond council and just find out if that is something that can go through with statutes. And if it's still, it is the final approval of the commission, no matter what, when filling out the application. But I can send you a draft policy so that you can look at it and read what we're looking at as far as the policy and application, so that you would have some idea too what you're looking at.
Right.
And this property is in the Renaissance Zone now, so that is also an opportunity for you.
So the Renaissance Zone, I'm sorry, I'm not real sure exactly what all that entails. Is there any other details to that, income-wise? Because income is what's driving, the determination of this. Do we move forward? Do we make any money whatsoever? Because we can't sign a $6-7 million loan and then lose $1 million on it.
We have, at the podium right now, we have our, Mr. Josephson from the Planning Department.
Renaissance, and I'm the Renaissance Zone Coordinator. Good evening. And the Renaissance Zone 2 it's another program that freezes the assessed value of it. So the way that works is that for commercial properties, if the improvement exceeds 50% or more of the city's assessed value for it, it gives the developer an opportunity to, it could freeze that value for up to 5 years. So there would be no increase in property tax during that time. The other thing it also allows too is on the state end is I believe it freezes the income tax. The income tax that the state would collect, on this. And perhaps this is something Ms. Carlson can answer. I don't know that you could do a TIF and a REN zone at the same time. I know you've looked more at the TIF part of it. So, but again, it's another program that encourages development by people improve things and then they don't get socked with a huge increase in property taxes the next year.
Right.
And that
I know you can't give me an answer now, and I'm just thinking off the top of my head. And again, I'd have to get together with my partners and run the numbers. My entire goal on the taxation is, I know it sounds crazy, but I want to raise the property taxes as high as I can, have the tenants pay it, and then reimburse ourselves to help, pay for help make the development move forward. And that's, again, just talking off the cuff, that's really what I'd be looking for. And I don't even know if that money would help with our numbers, but I'm more than happy to sit down with my partner and run a budget with Mike in April to see if it works.
and any information you need about the Renaissance Zone program, please feel free to
Yep.
contact me.
If you contact city staff, they can provide you with our TIF policy, and also they can provide you with the Renaissance. I'd also, if you have not contacted Stark Development, please contact.
I have.
Okay. Work with Stark
I've
Development.
actually been working this a long time, and Dustin's been a lot of help to get this to where it needs to go. April and I were working with Walter, and when Dustin stepped in, I forward your motion to Dustin to get that job. So if that's of any help, there's my vote for you. But I just feel this has moved a lot quicker with Dustin involvement. We like the community. I've got the tenants that want to be there. Unfortunately, the real estate's expensive. Construction costs have tripled. Interest rates have gone up. So I'm fighting an uphill battle like all of us every day. Unfortunately, this is on a larger scale. And as April had mentioned, TJ Maxx is only going to pay so much in rent. Shoe Department's only going to pay so much in rent because they're basing their rent based upon the sales volume that they're going to do. And they'll pay more in a larger market rather than in a small market. But
Well, Doug, you can tell them this, if they put a TJ Maxx in that building, they better have a truck here every day.
yeah, I know that. Well,
Because they're gonna need it, so.
let me talk to April, let me talk to my partner, and we'll run some numbers, and I'm basically, with your permission, I'm gonna run the property tax up to, 100,000 or 130,000 and see if we can do something, with you regarding that number to help us make this work. And if you feel, that's something I should look at, then we'll definitely, April and I and my partner Michael get together and further discuss it to see if we can make it work.
Well, I would encourage you to come back with some new numbers to get back with Mr. Dossinger and city staff, and I know they'll work with you and they'll get you those policies, and we'll try to assist in any way possible. So,
Well, we appreciate that. April, do you have anything else to say?
I don't. I just appreciate everyone's time and openness to review and brainstorm. It's a math equation, so we're just trying to figure out, how to get those numbers to make sense so it can work for the community and everyone involved.
all right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, Dustin. I'll follow up with you tomorrow, okay?
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, April.
Thanks, everyone.
Look forward to seeing everyone soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next up, we have our elder care presentation, and this will be presented by the newest Stark County Excellence Award winner, Mrs. Colleen Rodakowski.
Thank you. Well, once again, I'm Colleen Rodakowski. I greet the president, the commissioners, the city staff, our community. I'm excited to be here today to give the report of 2021 of Dickinson Public Transit, and also I slip in elder care as well in this. Here today with me are my two managers. I'd like to introduce Erin Humphrey. She's the Assistant Executive Director. She works right alongside me, as well as our Transit Manager, Rose Drake. And first couple slides, I'm going to just talk a little bit about the importance of transit. Of course, we assist people who are unable to drive in our community. So we have the elderly, the disabled, socio-economically challenged, and the general public as well. The community depends on our service. The people who ride with us, we're their means of transit in the town. The services are convenient, cost-effective, and we also contribute to the economic vitality of Dickinson. Overall, we provide transit services for the general public. Sometimes people think that we are not there for the general public, but that's actually our largest rider at this time. We work to meet the changing needs of our community, and we improve the quality of life by providing that freedom of mobility. We are the only provider in town that provides Medicaid rides, as well as the Blue Cross Blue Shield expansion payments, and as well as wheelchair accessibility. We work to reduce traffic congestion and alleviate parking demands, and of course, keep our community independent. Most of our riders are right here: work, shopping, medical, social, events, as well as education. That's how we break our ridership up. I'm going to talk a little bit about the finances from last year. The income. The largest component is agency income, and that's the income that comes in from DOT. A lot of that percentage is from the DOT subsidies that we get and grants. Local match are contracts we have, state aid. Fair income is the fare that we charge $4 a one-way trip in Dickinson. And then going to Bismarck on Tuesdays, we have a run every Tuesday is $75 round trip. We do transport people outside Dickinson and as well as off days to Bismarck if we're able to, if we have a vehicle and a driver. Those fares are $4 plus $1 a mile in surrounding towns, 2 surrounding towns, and then Bismarck on a day off is $125. Our interest income is really tiny. It doesn't even show up. So, okay, this is our gross income was about 1.3 million last year. The brunt of that is that agency income coming in and then local match. Under local match is the subsidy that we receive from the city of Dickinson. And you see that 150,000 that's coming out of the city sales tax. We split that 50-50 between Dickinson Public Transit and Elder Care last year, the Elder Care Meal Program, which I'll talk a little bit about next. And then we have that 55,000 transit subsidy that the city supports. You need to know we cannot operate. There's no way we can operate the transit services in this community or the meal program without the support we receive from you. On top of this subsidies that you guys give us, we're in the building, the public transit building is city-owned. You know, we built that 10 years ago, actually 2012. Love our building. I still walk in the garage, honestly, and I'm so thankful to have our vehicles inside. There was a time when we were plugging them in with winter and doing pre-checks out in the cold, below zero weather. So we have a beautiful garage and beautiful offices. We take very good care of that city-owned building. And I also want to thank you for the extra city sales tax money that you gave us to do the landscaping. The landscaping for safety needs to be re-landscaped on the boulevard and some sprinkler system in for beautification. We're hoping to get that project done with your support and DOT's grant dollars this year. And I do, gonna slip in, a dream goal of mine is I do want to add on to the building. I have to learn how to do that grant app. There's some things I don't understand quite with the DOT. I submitted a request a couple years back, and I need to do some studies and stuff, so I need to learn about that, because the goal is we built the building to increase it to the west for offices. Right now, our monthly training is done in the garage, and our holiday party is in the garage. We cleaned it all up. So it'd be nice to have a training room for our staff. As well as we need more vehicles inside, and we would go north. We would expand the building north is how we designed the building. So, but we need some dollars. So, yes.
When is that your grant due?
The grants are due at the end of December for the next year.
Okay. As a city, we're looking to possibly hire a grant writer. So.
Okay.
And that's the one thing that we need to kind of have all the departments kind of get together and submit what they have for grants, and so we can justify that position. I mean, you're essentially one of our departments, so you know, if we possibly hire a grant writer and can assist you with that,
That would be wonderful.
Yeah.
That would be great.
I think there's a lot of money out there that's available. We just have to find the right person that can tackle these grants. And
Well, we would love to partner with that,
Okay.
because it's an area that other transits in the state have applied for those dollars for expansions. Minot has, I believe, Fargo, Grand Forks, and Grand Forks is under their city, so they have probably some extra support there too, but we really could use a bigger building, just overall for the operations as we continue to grow.
I think
So
there's
thank you.
room to the north, right?
Yeah, that's how we built the building. The city owns the lot.
Right.
Right?
Yep,
So-
we do.
Right, so the way that the landscape is, there's room north and west to build on. So that would be awesome. Let's see, the next slide, I'm gonna go through expenses, and then, of course, our net income last year was about 214. I put the expenses in order of most expensive. We all know is salary and benefits, and we work our way down. I am so excited to announce, one of my dreams at work was to offer a retirement plan, and we were able to do that last October. Our employees, to make us more marketable, last year we did increase our salary. We've increased salaries significantly to help maintain our staff, because it's very difficult to hire. We all know that. It's hard to get people to fill the app out correctly, let alone show up for work, and then they sometimes leave in a day or two. So I really feel that we're incredibly competitive, an awesome place to work, as well as we're giving back to the community, the seniors and the community with transit and the meal program. And I'm so excited about the retirement program. We did slip in through the state's retirement program because that's where our health insurance has been. So it was exciting to know that we're cash flowing that now. One-way trips. You know, last year, shopping was second. Interesting. Medical is back on second. Work is first. It's exciting to see work first because medical always was there at the when I came here 14 years ago. But we are really operating with the general public more. They know we're here and they're using us. And this is just a comparison of those top 4 trips, and you can just see the growth or their up and down numbers from the last 4 years. And you can see work is number 1. And then this is just another comparison. The biggest thing I want to show you here is that general public I mentioned earlier. Most of our ridership is coming under that general public. And then we've got the elderly, the wheelchair ridership that we offer, as well as kidney dialysis, is KDU and the Bismarck trips. This is just a trip and passenger comparison. It's something that in transit we monitor. Passengers will always be higher than a trip because we could have a trip with all of us on a vehicle, right? So it could be like, if you take the commissioner table, it'd be 1 trip, but 5 passengers. So passengers is always going to be higher than that trip number. Now last year we were just slightly a 0.5% down in ridership. Some of this downturn right now, it's slight, right? Very small. The bar graph there is flat practically. It's because of staffing. Our numbers this year are projected to go down again because we could not hire. When we couldn't hire at the beginning of the year, we had several months that we can't provide the trips that are needed in town because we couldn't find drivers. And I'm excited to say right now is the best we've been sitting with staffing for I don't know how many years, but a lot. You know, we're sitting fabulous in the office as well as transit and meals right now. And that's been a long time coming. And I attribute a lot of that to offering the more salary package as well as the retirement for the full-time. And this is just from 2010, shows a little bit of the height of the oil. This next slide will show you that. Just tells you a little bit about what was happening when we had no city taxi. Oil picked up around 2010-11, all the way down to when the oil boom ended, tax ordinance started. We made a significant change in 2017 with our fares and our hours. We used to be open till 10 at night, but we're letting the taxis pick up those now, and we're closed at 6. We are operating, we did shut down on Saturdays from 7 to 6 this past year because the ridership was there when we did our Nelson Nygaard study back in 2017 with the city. You guys helped us with that match money when we did a study of the entire city of Dickinson. We had a lot of ridership from 6 to 7 on Saturday, but we closed, we don't have that anymore, so we do close at 6 on Saturdays. And of course, when COVID hit, a lot of changes hit when we stopped transporting so many people because people were home. Challenges, hiring and retaining staff. You're seeing that all over. Maintaining the lifespan of our vehicles. It's a struggle to buy vehicles. We all know that. DOT is now asking for all of our vehicles that we do put on and bid to come back to the state with them and offer them to other agencies first because we're struggling to get the large buses in, the cutaways. And then we always watch the traffic congestion, the roads. Earlier, we had a lot of higher than normal complaints, and I think when I listened to the police report a couple times, you guys have had that as well, where calls have gone up, but they've been going down lately. Rising gas prices, and then the lifespan of the vehicles. We put that in here because our vans and buses on the next slide are very much met their life. You know, we have a lot of breakdowns, a lot of maintenance fees right now. I'm excited to say we have a new fleet. If you went to the Rough Rider Day parade, we introduced our newest fleet of 4 vans that we just bought. They're called Sea Life. They were supposed to be Arctic Sea Life. We always name our vehicles to help the elderly and disabled to know that that's our vehicle and which vehicle they're on. But we just found out the turtle is not an Arctic animal. But anyways, we got turtle, walrus, seal, and dolphin. That helps us to know we hit those 2 big blizzards this year, and that's the year we bought these 4 vans. And they are awesome. They're Chrysler Voyagers, and they are way better than our Dodge Caravans. We're really happy with the ride and the new vans. You know, talking a little bit about successes, I mentioned about our retirement program and increasing salaries, but through the pandemic, we remained open all of our hours. We work really hard to keep things as regular as possible. We have 4 more vehicles. The 4 vehicles we purchased, we're going to purchase 4 more. I have enough money for 4 more. We won Best of the Western Edge for the cab 3 years in a row. We're really excited about that recognition. We've updated Facebook more. Maintaining our financial stability with all the increases we've had has been huge. And we're always working to provide a safe environment with our agency. Our upcoming goals is always maintaining that financial security, hiring and retaining our staff, updating more social media. I talked about the boulevard repairs. Let's see. I think a lot of this already covered already here. Shopping shuttles we talked about back in 2017 was put on hold when the pandemic hit. I don't believe we're ready for this yet, but we're always watching for when our community is ready to start introducing a shuttle, which would be a cheaper fare of $2 a ride, and it would take people to and from Walmart throughout our town to give them a little cheaper, more affordable ride. And we're hoping to offer the Tour of Lights. We cut that because of COVID. We want to offer that this Christmas, where we take people around to look at the lights in town. And then critical needs are a partnership. This whole slide is all about partnership, continuing to work and have the funding to operate and grow and adapt to new market needs. I'm going to throw in a couple slides on elder care. We're continuing to serve those meals that are needed in our seniors in Southwest North Dakota. We have about 20 meal sites and places where we've served our seniors. They have been operating on home-delivered meals since the pandemic. We were slow to get them reopened, and we're in the process right now of carefully evaluating meal sites and opening them up to the seniors. Our challenges is financial stability. The meal program has been suffering over the past few years financially. Food costs are incredibly high. We all know we're all experiencing that. And volunteers and staff are hard to find, so we're continuing to work on that. And of course, the goals for us is evaluating those meal sites. I'd love to create a takeout meal program for seniors, because seniors are still working. Our meal program is for age 60 and up. It's a contribution-based program that if someone's able to donate $5 a meal, we ask for that, but we average about $1.89 a meal of income coming in. Seniors are struggling with the inflation going on and not able to make that contribution, but a lot of seniors are working, and they need a meal on their way home to pick up when they go home, especially most of them that are living alone, have lost a spouse. It's hard to cook when they're alone as well. So overall, we are so excited to be working for our community, for the seniors, the general public with the meal program, helping the seniors with a nutritional meal, and providing time for social for them. And because we know quality of life is critical for a senior as they age, to have that interaction. Let's see, anything Mike got that I'm missing to add? I think that's everything I've got. Any questions I can entertain?
Well, thank you, Mrs. Rodakowski. Any questions?
Colleen, I got a question for you. First of
Yes.
all, I did like seeing the new fleets in the parade. That was nice. I was wondering, are any of those vans, are they wheelchair vans, or are they mainly just passenger?
Our entire fleet is wheelchair. That's
They're all
only
wheelchair?
that's the only type of vehicle we can purchase off of the NDDOT grants is a
Okay.
wheelchair.
And-
So we have ramps in the vans, but we have lifts in the cutaway buses.
Okay. Are these side ramps or rear ramps on these?
I believe all of them
on
are
the
side
vans?
ramps, except for one of our buses has a rear lift.
Okay. And the other thing was the meals you were talking about. How many
Yeah.
times a day are they being delivered?
We deliver roughly about 110 meals a day in the Dickinson community, home delivered. And everybody's getting home delivered right now until we reopen some of the sites to move people back to the congregate sites so that they can social. So about 110 here in town. I think for the year, I want to say roughly last year was 36,000 meals that we did Southwest North Dakota. About 36 or 34. Don't quote me. I think that's about right.
Well, I think you and your staff do an awesome job, so please keep it up.
Thank you so much. We're honored to work for our community. We have a great community. And of course, it's it's our leadership of you guys. It's all those wonderful businesses that we have. And yeah, we have a wonderful place to raise our children and to live. So thank you.
Well, thank you.
Okay, thanks.
We have a presentation from Dickinson Theodore Roosevelt Airport, and this will be Mr. Kelly Brown.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Commissioners. Kelly Braun, Airport Manager. I was on vacation last week, and I don't know if anybody got copies of the handouts. I sent them to Rita late today, so I don't know if they made them in your packet. If you don't have them, I have copies for everyone.
I think we have them all.
All right. We're in the process of going through our budget, and today I'm here to ask for a percentage of a local share for an airport capital improvement project. We have a federal grant for a terminal concept budget report and a federal grant to acquire snow removal equipment, 2 units. $1,372,000 or so for the snow removal equipment and $234,000 for the terminal concept budget report. The total for those two are $89,166, and we're asking for a local contribution from the city in the amount of half of that, which would be $44,583. We are working, like I mentioned, on our budget, and we'll have that budget for the city approval here very shortly. I believe next meeting or the meeting after. So. If anybody has any questions on any of that, I'd be happy to take those questions, but just a simple request.
So as I read this, Mr. Brown, you need $44,583 or an additional $44,000?
It'd be in addition to the 4 mills that we currently receive.
Addition to the 4 mills.
For our
Okay.
operating expense, yeah.
Okay. Mrs. Carlson, do we have a fund we could draw these for to meet this request?
With the commissions, we have funds in
Okay.
sales tax and GPT. Other than that,
Okay.
be what the commission wishes, and I will figure it out.
Just propose to us where you think it would be a good source to withdraw. I really do think we need to, not only the snow equipment, but this terminal study we need to move ahead on this terminal study. We need to have something prepared for the next time our congressional delegation gets here so that we can show them that we're ready to go, because there is money available. Last time I spoke with Senator Hovind's staff, he was still working on something, so I don't know if you've had any further conversation with them, but.
Yeah, I did. A couple weeks ago, I met
Okay.
with his staff, Washington DC staff and his local staff here in North Dakota, and they are ready and willing and able
Okay.
to help us with that terminal project and get that bill moving and take advantage of the bill funds that are available.
Right. I think, yeah, we need to do that. So I think we need to move forward to make sure that we're picking up. Have you presented to Stark County yet?
I have not.
Okay.
President Decker, just to clarify, this is for the 22, out of the 22 budget.
Yes.
It's not looking at,
Yeah, this is out of 22. You
Multi-year.
need the money shortly, right?
So it's actually for next year. It'd be for
Oh,
the
okay.
23. Yep.
Okay.
so
That's-
it's
I
for
thought you needed it
23's
like-
budget,
okay.
Yep.
that
Okay,
you
that-
need the 44.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so we can work that into the upcoming budget then. So, yeah.
I'll give you
Okay, I
guys-
thought you needed it before the end of the year.
Yep.
so-
No.
Okay.
For next year.
All right. Okay.
Good.
That's an easy fix then, right?
Yes.
And then just a little more background too.
Okay.
These federal projects are funded 90% federal, 5% state, and then 5% local match. So the federal funding has been secured in the North Dakota Aeronautics Commission gave us a grant for 89,000 to acquire that equipment and do that study. So the only remaining portion is that 5% local share. So all the funding is in place except for the local match.
And this is strictly snow removal? You still have the Oshkosh, right?
Yes.
Okay. And when's the runway finished?
So the opening is November 3rd. That's our scheduled
Okay.
opening date. And barring any more setbacks, we're on target to meet that date currently.
Good deal. I guess we don't have to have a resolution this evening on that money. We'll figure that into the budget, so.
Yeah, I just
Well,
wanted to make
we'll-
that formal
right,
request.
yeah, we'll make sure that we find a source for you, so.
Awesome. Thank you for your time and thanks for the help.
I do have a question here, Mr. Brown, because
Sure.
we have the CIP list here too.
Yep.
I'm just looking ahead here at 2025. And I do think, I've been talking about this, I think Mayor Decker's been talking about this. That's right in that sweet spot that I think it needs to be in order to be kind of the landing spot for the Theodore Roosevelt Presidential Library.
Correct.
With that opening. And I like seeing that there. And anything that we can do to help get that off the ground. And I definitely think that there's probably an appetite here to help fund that in some way. So, that's exciting to see, and it's good to see that you guys are working towards that.
Yeah.
So,
Yep. Appreciate that.
Put the foot on the accelerator a little bit.
Yep.
Get those engineers working.
Hopefully
so.
everything comes together, coincides perfectly with that,
Yeah,
with that
hopefully.
timeline as well.
yeah.
All right. Any other comments or questions for Mr. Brown? Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, we'll move into public comments not on the agenda. If there's any individuals that have any comments that were not on the agenda or any comments for items that were on the agenda, please come forward, state your name. If you're watching online, 701-456-7006, you may dial in and speak to the city commission on any items that were not on the agenda, or you can speak to items on the agenda. This is the public hearing and public comments for the citizens of Dickinson. Does anyone have any comments? Anyone from the public? Seeing no one has any comments that were not on the agenda or towards items on the agenda, I'll close the public hearing. We will go back. Last item we spoke to was a tobacco violation, so we will move into public safety, and we have the police department here with their monthly report. And we have interim police chief Ciani. Welcome.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome, Dr. Bear, to the group here. See if I can get this clicker working right for me right away. All right. For the June monthly report, Dickinson Police Department handled 2,795 calls for service. Our monthly and year-to-date calls remain up from last year, with the 2,795 posted in June and the 13,924 posted for the year. Seeing an increase from month to month, it's appearing, as is expected with summer as well, though, so nothing unexpected there.
Chief, do you see any significant trends though with like almost 1,300 additional calls to this point from last year?
The 1,300 additional calls, it's fluid. It could be something with the amount of narcotics that are coming through town. Some things are coded a little differently than they were last year as far as in our records management system. There's been some changes there, but overall we have seen an increase. There's a lot more activity in town that everyone has seen. Traffic numbers are up. I mean, you can go up 3rd Avenue West right now at lunchtime and you see a steady flow of traffic going straight. that, some would think that the traffic would correlate to more traffic stops and higher traffic numbers, but that's not necessarily the case. It actually makes it more difficult for officers to get around in traffic, make those stops. There's a lot more transient workers rolling through than we've had in the past as well. I mean, we do feel some of the influx from the oil activity is picking up. It's not as it was in the past, but it is picking up. And just with the economy, you got people that are struggling in the city, in the nation right now with the higher gas prices and everything else. It fuels crime to a certain extent. So there's a lot of factors which are causing this to increase throughout the year. And we do have an additional just for the summer. And we're coming out of the COVID outbreak here last year, tail end of it. So that plays a role as well. If that makes any sense?
No, it does. Thank you.
Okay. Where was I at here? Traffic. 66 traffic crashes were investigated with 4 involving injury, 2 with pedestrians involved. We had 594 traffic stops, which resulted in 240 citations, 317 warnings. Of the 240 citations, 90 of those were related to speeding. Arrests were up. We made approximately 159 arrests, which is up from 130 the same time last year. Arrest classifications, some of the June arrests consisted of 4 felonies, 100 misdemeanors, 12 infractions. You can see the breakdown of the other chargeable offenses. CID detectives conducted a warrant roundup of sorts here in June. The operation netted 9 warrant services, 2 driving under suspension citations, and 1 marijuana-related arrest. Detectives continue to be busy. CID opened 47 new cases in June. These cases ranged anywhere from 4 burglaries to 3 search warrants. You can see the variety of cases that they're working. CID has an open caseload of approximately 77 cases. Their year-to-date open case average of over 68 remains significantly higher than last year. With that being said, detectives were called out 7 times in June. This is nearly twice a week. These call-outs range anywhere from 2 burglaries to 1 child abuse neglect case. Detectives are tasked, they are working hard, they are short one in investigations, and our staff on the bench is getting thin. We don't have the experienced officers that we once had to choose from to roll into investigations, so we're kind of stretching staff to who is best suited to stay on the street and provide that mature, professional service as a police officer on the street, rather than rolling that, overachiever into investigations where we really want them, kind of spreading the wealth with what we have. It's getting more and more difficult, though. Behavioral health, we responded 105 behavioral health related calls for service, ranging from 86 welfare checks to 8 suicidal subjects. Training, we're continuing to get as much training as we can in there. Staff posted about 398 hours of training in June. Some of this training included a completion of our 2nd quarter training, reality-based training, which covered combatives, taser, and de-escalation training. We still have a lieutenant and a couple of sergeants at Northwestern. We're hoping to get them back here at the end of the month. So we'll be at full staff as far as administration is concerned, except for down 1. Records. Activity for records as far as fingerprints and sex offenders is somewhat down, but they're how busy they are is how busy the street is. They work with a lot of paperwork, a lot of entities to get that paperwork distributed. They do a lot more behind the scenes than we sometimes give them credit for. But they did fingerprint 36 people and registered 15 sex offenders in June. Dispatch calls for service. Dispatch handled 837 emergency 911 calls and 5,490 non-emergency calls for service. That is, these numbers are up from last month. Animal control remains busy. Of course, we're in the summer time frame, so that brings out the a lot more animals. Animal control handled 213 calls for service, with 120 of these calls being related to stray or animal at large. 90 animals were physically impounded. These impounds range from 56 dogs to 34 cats. Only 10 of the 90 impounds remain at the pound, so they're doing well getting these animals reunited with their owners and or adopted out. Community relations, June included participation in City Hall grand opening. You all saw us down there. Live at 25 driver safety class was completed, and the infamous Guns and Hoses. Too bad the fire wasn't here. I was going to concede the victory to them this year and let them know it was a fluke, but we talked about that a little bit.
That's just because you guys granted Chief Dossinger's son to the fire department for a couple
Right?
years.
That's part of the, that's
while he's
part
in
of
school.
it.
Yeah.
Don't worry, he's being recruited for the police department too.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
we'll-
That's what I mean.
Never know what could happen now, right? That kind of opens doors. Continuing with community relations, I'm sorry, I hit that. We also had the Cops and Bobbers. I think this was the second annual event. It's becoming a very popular event through the community. This was handled at the Dickinson Dike. We had great participation by the community. A lot of kids caught a lot of fish. The fish were biting well that year, that day, so it was a fun day for everyone. Weather even cooperated for the most part. With the conclusion of the school year, SRO Peters has been busy with all the community events as well. Some of those events what he was involved in included Safety City, Coffee with a Cop, and he's going to continue with that, with his role as a community service officer until Sergeant Stocky comes out of Northwestern, then he'll be taking that assignment back over. So that pretty much concludes the June report. Any questions?
Any questions? Well, thank you so much.
We will get someone down to the Apes too and discuss the future.
Yeah, just so they're well aware what a third violation could mean to them.
I'm not so sure he won't be up to speak with you himself. So.
Okay. And I think we have another monthly report coming up right now. We have Public Works. Welcome, Mr. Zaroff.
Thank you, President Decker and Commission. And this is actually a 6-month report. So I'm trying to get down to monthly. We did an annual. This will be a quick 6-month, and then we'll try to do monthly or quarterly from there on. So, good evening.
Evening.
First, I want to talk, just throw in some of the capital projects we're involved in right now. The Town Square, which is right behind us, total contract amount, and right now we're about 35% complete for dollars. Substantial completion is November. I think that will be pushed back with the way construction is right now in a lot of our projects. Here's a couple of pictures of the Town Square. The alley is finished now. The curb and gutter is finished. They're working on the sidewalk. You see some framing and the stage and the pergolas also. Some of those tops have been installed. The mausoleum addition is
Mr. Zaroff,
Yes?
on the Town Square, you said that we're a little bit behind. Is it because of weather, or is it just supply issues, a combo?
I'd say it's a combination. I think this beginning of the year it was wet. Also supplies and shipping and all these projects. It's not when it's going to come, it's when they'll ship it to you. I'm having problems with that. We're having problems in multiple projects with costs that have increased since the contractors even got quotes, concrete, things like that. So I think a lot of it is weather. Mr. Tooze was here, but some of it and the other projects are like on the mausoleum, which is next. The Granite Company had originally said July, now it's going to be August or September. So in construction anymore, you really got to be flexible, which is hard for me. So, yeah. In the mausoleum, we're 22%. That was substantial. It was supposed to be September, but I think that if the granite comes in July, I think will be fairly substantial, but it's going to be close depending on the weather. The columbariums you see in the middle probably won't be in until next year. They're pouring some of those footings now. I have some pictures. That's the mausoleum on the north side, and they are prepping for some of the columbarium. We'd like to get some of that done, especially in the winter, that they can access both sides if it doesn't get finished, that they won't interfere with the areas for the public to get on the north side of the current mausoleum. So we're working through some issues, but hopefully, I know GT is contacting the granite company almost daily to try to keep on schedule with this project. Another couple pictures. Another project, our water main and lead service line replacement, that started. It just beginning. That is a smaller contract, but if you've been down in that area, it looks like a war zone almost. There's mill and overlay project going on with replacement of sidewalk, curb and gutter. We're starting the water main project. Here you see some temporary water lines that is strewn through our project area. Some of that to the left is part of the mill and overlay project. There's been multiple contractors and down there working, so it is coming together. I drove it yesterday a little bit, and the water main project, they did have a shutdown Monday. That didn't go so well as far as the contractor. They didn't notify all the property owners they were supposed to, so we had calls right away Monday morning, but I think we have that resolved. So hopefully that project continues, and I would like to continue that again next year and continue with cast iron main and this lead service line project. The Dickinson South Cemetery, you guys approved that. It's in the study and report phase. That's just beginning. The Baylor Building expansion, we're finalizing two different layouts that Burns and McDonnell have given us. We plan to have them come to commission and show you those layouts soon. I think it'll be in August. The expansion includes additional floor space, a scale house, residential drop-off, and cold storage. So we're working with that and excited to give you some options to look at there. Now we'll get out of the capital projects, a couple special events like all the other departments, and we've really enjoyed this Touch a Truck project. So in May, we went 4 Public Works trucks and 8 staff participated in Touch a Truck. We like this event. It's a great event. We had National Public Works Week in May, and we also participated in team building exercise and a team lunch. So there's a picture of the crew, Public Works. This picture is a great picture. No, this this was in Pittsburgh. The APWA Excellence in Snow and Ice Control Award was established to promote excellence in management and administration of public works snow and ice operations, to promote the best practices in snow and ice removal while minimizing environmental impacts. We put a lot of time and effort into creating the policies. Now we need to focus on training and getting the operators to do it. And I appreciate, I think we had a good event this spring to show what we did well and also what we didn't do well. So we'll continue to try to expand on that.
And Gary, if I remember correctly, when the snow event took place,
I was here.
You were at the
yes
at the conference,
and I didn't dare bring this up till about many months later. So
it was just really fitting timing there. I thought that's
I thought so too in there, and I did try to get back, but there was no way. So I just had to suck it up. But yeah, like Rita said. So that was exciting for the team, and I think we need to expand from there. So this is a picture in Pittsburgh. On the left slide on the bottom, there were 5 cities that got this award, and you can see the city logo, so that was good to see that city logo all over the APWA conference. And this is, again, the snowstorm during that time. It just happened in the last 6 months, so I put one slide in there, the total cost of what we had from that event. Public Works training. These are some of the training events that were done in the last 6 months, 1,000 hours, 1,039 training hours. One of the things that I want to talk about is that we have 4 Public Works employees now that can train other employees to earn their CDL. So we can do in-house training on the CDL. We have 4 employees that can do that, and I feel that's a good step in recruiting, and then hopefully we can figure out how to retain these employees. We also had an employee development training in leadership. It's called the CMOE modules. So all our leadership groups are taking these modules, and they include communication, teamwork, handling pressure, et cetera, and those have been really good. We have a teamwork module that we were going to do this month. We're going to postpone it to next month. OpWorks, this is our service calls and service requests in the last 6 months. You can see kind of how they're spread out. Of course, garbage can replacement, I think those are calls coming in all the time. Snow and ice, a big one, you can see in April. And this is on our OpWorks system that generates service requests. You'll see some other software that we use to track other work orders. But these are our service requests so far this year, 914, January to June. Fleet work orders is another software system for fleet, and those are our work orders so far this year in fleet. Fuel usage, I think that's a good one to look at. This is fuel for all city vehicles. You can see kind of the variation of unleaded, clear, dyed diesel, and then the totals. April, you can that was our snow event. You can see the big surge in fuel there. Buildings and grounds, just how many hours they spent mowing so far. Vector control, he is going to get out. I know the mosquitoes are bad. Planning on getting out, doing the whole city here real soon again. Weed spraying, way behind again because of all these rains. They're spent 60 hours of spraying so far in the last 6 months.
Mr. Zuroff, the new east business loop, I guess, street.
Business loop, yep.
Yep, that we have. The right-of-ways on each side, whose responsibility is that now?
Right now, we are mowing the 2-foot strip from the trail and trying to do at least 1 or 2 swaths on the side. When DOT proposed this project and did the defining chain, it was
fence?
said at that time. I have multiple emails to the district saying I don't know how the property owners are going to feel, to mow it. Apparently, they had talked to the property owners. They said there'll be no change. They will take care of it. Some property owners have. Some property owners are not going to. So we're kind of dealing with that right now. We do have a city code that you're responsible to mow your adjacent properties, but this is a little different out there. I know Aaron's went out and Leah's went out and talked to a lot of the property owners. Some they've waited because it's been so wet. So some we've gone in a little bit and tried to do some drainage, and that they said once we get it down, they will take over. So we're continuing to work on that. I think there'll be 2 or 3 property owners that we're going to continue to have some tough times with, though, because I don't think they're willing to mow it.
I know there's some challenges out there.
Yep.
Just with the drainage and the slope and.
There was another meeting today at the DOT out there, and I wasn't able to attend, but there's really a lot of severe stormwater, especially by the gas station, stormwater issues and drainage issues they're working on. We've already had, I think, 3 lights hit already out there, and getting those replaced, but we're continuing to work on that.
The weeds are getting pretty bad in those.
They are. Yep, I agree.
Did they work on that stormwater drainage? I mean, I know Protein flooded out there, they're right between Midwest Doors and Northwest Tire, in one of these.
Oh, yes.
I mean, that drainage there has always been bad. So,
Yep.
I mean, did they address that at all there?
They did on the north side. I don't know. I don't think they addressed it too much going south, on that side. They that was one of the areas they definitely knew was a issue, that right where you're talking about, especially on the north side. They did try to pick some of that up, but I don't think they did much on the south side of that as far as the project goes.
It's wet down there.
Yes. We can have, I can have more discussions with the district supervisor. I wish I could have had time to meet with him today on some of the drainage issues, but we'll continue to discuss that. One of the things, I guess, if, you know, I don't know the city code, if we can force those property owners to mow that, because it is not necessarily a boulevard like the city. If it's not, then I think we need to determine if the city's gonna mow it or how we're gonna take care of it, so.
Well, right now, until we come to that, I guess,
Just mow it.
I would say we have to do something until we find out,
Yep.
you know, what's enforceable. I agree with you. It's not a true boulevard anymore. And when they put the line of delineation in there, basically, it makes it difficult.
It's pretty hard to pass on to the landowners when they, you know, basically said, stay off our land,
Yep.
and we're gonna put this fence up, so you can't do anything there, but could you keep it mowed, please?
That's the difficult part, and when DOT started that,
Right.
that was some of the conversations I had. But, you know, a lot of the KMM, Ladberry have all mowed that, a lot of them are mowing it, but I agree, I think we need to just try to take care of it and help as much as we can, so. And hopefully it'll dry up, we can get down in the drainage. Solid waste tonnages, just by month. On our monthlies, we're trying to figure out which slides to pull for our monthly reports, but in 6 months, with 25,000 tons of materials were delivered to the landfill. Recycling stream, 763 tons of cardboard, paper, and single stream recycling. You can see that's gone up, and annually that continues to increase, diverting from our landfill. Backyards Bucket, there's a grant program that Rachel in recycling did, and this is their waste reduction. It's a homeowner compost and food reduction grant in the backyard, and so these are the pounds that they've done on this grant. Water utilities, this is another service, basically a service request program, but this is with utility billing, not our OpWorks or fleet. You can see the service request for utility billing services. Most of the registers, delinquent is pretty constant, turning on and off. Services and meter upgrades, et cetera, by month. Water utilities, metered water, in what we bought from Southwest Water is 84 million gallons less than we bought last year. Annually, if you would look at June, we're significantly down on what water we bought because of all the rain. I think this June was one of our, since I've been here, probably our lowest month even of what we bought water. Usually June and July are our big months, and June was not a very big month. So we are down in purchasing water, which means we're down in selling water. And our water vendor, that's increased quite a bit in June. That's getting a lot of use. Lately, I know our credit card on that vendor has been down, but we still get a lot of use. Should be fixed pretty soon, but it gets a lot of use down there. Septic receiving station, this is our new station on the west lift station on the West Business Loop on Old Highway 10. You can see before it was on the honor system of what they dumped into our system. Now we have a metered system and a testing system in that station we built. So it's significant numbers on that of what we receive for septic. It's a great system because it takes care of all the rocks and it tests pH, and it really helps any possible contaminant into our sewer system. Water reclamation facility, this is another work order system, but this is in-house preventive maintenance set up for a pump or something that needs maintained. We set it up on a rotation. So in 6 months, there's 1,013 work orders, preventive maintenance work orders done at the plant. Treated effluent to Hart River, the gallons that we discharge to the river. April, we channeled a lot to the lagoon for storage, and also we sell quite a bit of it to the refinery, but this is what's been going in Heart River. June was 55 million gallons. Reuse water sold. This is strictly the Marathon. 10.45 in June. Land applied sludge, 140 hours. This takes a lot of time, a big tractor, and so these are the pounds. I believe these are pounds of sludge that was applied out at the water reclamation facility. And I want to remind the public that to sign up for Dickinson Work app for service requests. We can give alerts and notifications with that Dickinson Work app. Please be sure to call 456-7979 for any other service requests. And I guess if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
I'll put a plug in. The app works great. Notification wise and
Yep.
everything. Great working app. So, any questions, commissioners, for Mr. Zuroff? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, last item up this evening. We have commissioners. Do you have any items not on the agenda you wish to speak to? Now I look for a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
We are adjourned.